Hello everyone, my name is Alexey and I want to tell you about one of the key concepts in programming, closures. In JavaScript, closures are defined as inner functions that have access to variables and parameters of outer function even after the outer function has returned. Closures are frequently used in JavaScript for object data privacy, in event handlers and callback functions, and in partial applications, carrying and other functional programming patterns, and in most of JavaScript libraries. So let's go to examples and let's go to code. Okay, let's create our first function. So let's create const test function equals 2, and this function will take one parameter, it will be num. And this function will return a function. So let's return arrow function. And here we just want to log this num. So num.log and tab. Cool. And if we will call test function, for example, with 1, 2, 3, we will see nothing in our console. So let's log what is test function, and as we can see, test function return to us another function, and we can see it here. So it arrow function with console log. But let's create a variable, for example, const log 1, 2, 3, and it will be test function 1, 2, 3. And now let's execute log123 function. And as we can see, so we can remove our console log. And as we can see, we have 1, 2, 3 in our console. And why this happens? This happens because our num on this moment, 11th line, our num was closed here in scope of this test function. And when we are calling test function with parameter 1, 2, 3, we have new function, and this num refers to this past parameter, and this parameter was closed and context was saved. And then if we will call our log123 function, and this console log will be executed. So this function will refer to context. This arrow function will refer to context of test function, but previous we passed 1, 2, 3 here, so it will refer to 1, 2, 3, and we will see 1, 2, 3 in our console. Okay, now you have base view of closure, and let's create another example. And for example, we want to create add to function. So const add to maybe factory, and this function will take a parameter. It will be num1, for example, and this function will return other function, so other arrow function, and here we will need to pass, for example, number 2, and this inner arrow function will return result. So num1 plus num2. Cool. And let's create our, for example, add1 function. So const add1, it will be add to factory, it will be 1. And as we can see, we created a closure here again. And if we will, for example, log add1, and we will pass 10 here, we will see 11. And if we will pass, for example, 100, we will see 101. Why this happens? Because we have number 1, and in this time, on 11th again line, we closed num1 parameter, and then returned function, also another function, in which we need also to pass parameter number 2, and we are passing parameter number 2. And in time of calling this function, number 2 are referring to 100, and then, for example, for number 1, function knows the context of execution, and it refers to number 1, which we passed here. Nice. And also we can create another function, for example, const add 12, and it will be also add to factory, and it will be 12. And we can duplicate this console log and also pass here add 12, and also pass as second number 100. And as we can see in our console, we see 101 and 112, and that's pretty amazing. So we can use one common add to factory and pass here, for example, 1 and create one function, and create add 12 and create other function. And as we can see in different calls, this main function can close different variables. So for example, for add 1, it closed 1, and we can see 100 plus 1, 101. And for 12, we can see 112, and we closed 12, and then also passed parameter. We can pass here 12, it will be 24, 12 plus 12. And these functions, they have different context, and depending on context of function, a different number will be added. And let's move to more real example, and I will show you how you can, for example, use the technique of closure in your real project. Okay, let's create something useful for real application using closures. And for example, let's create a function which will construct URL for us, and it will be construct URL and equals to, and this function will take the parameter environment, so it will be env. For example, it could be prod, staging, or dev, and it will return also a function, and this function will, for example, takes domain. So domain could be, for example, test domain, or domain on client environment, or something like that, and we will return new string, and it will be HTTPS. Here will be domain dot environment env. And for example, we will have a set of environment variables. In real project, it should be accessed, for example, by process env or something like that, but let's create them as variables. So const env, it should be dev, const, for example, test env domain, it will be for example test, and client and domain should be client. Okay, what we can create with this function construct URL? We can create, for example, const env URL construct, and it will be construct URL, and we can pass here an env, our environment. And then we can create, for example, our test URL for our application and staging URL. Const test URL equals to env URL construct test and domain, and it will be client client URL, and it will be client and domain. Cool. And let's just log our test URL and client URL. So test URL, client URL. Cool. As we can see, we have here HTTPS test dev, HTTPS client.dev. For example, we can change it to prod and it will be prod. So as we can see with closures, we can create, for example, URLs for our applications. And for example, this URL is responsible for some integration, this URL responsible for some testing purposes, or for example, other service. And we can use, for example, fetch to fetch information from them using some query parameters, etc. And we can create URLs in this way, so environments and these variables should be changed. And with just constructor, we can construct URL based on environment and then just pass domains, something like that. So other example could be data privacy, and let's create, for example, product manager. So const product manager. It will be a product manager function, and it will be just arrow function. And inside this function, we will have const products. Cool. And this function will return object with two functions. So get products, and so here we will log products and add products. We need to have comma here, so it will be products, push some product. And that's it. And here we can create, for example, two consumers of this function. So const manager 1 equals to product manager. And we can create const manager 2 equals to product manager. And we can add, so it's annotation from my WebStorm, and we can add some products to first manager and second manager. So for example, manager 1 add products, for example, it will be apple, and for example, it will be milk. And manager 2, we can add products for him or her, and it could be, for example, watermelon. And that's it. We can log our products from different managers, and for manager 1 get products, we can see we can push product here. Yes, we can see apple and milk. And from manager 2 we can see watermelon. Yes, so now we created our product manager, and our products array is private. We can communicate with it only with two methods, with get products and add products. We can't mutate it through maybe some other things. So with this type of closure, we made our products array as private, and we can communicate with our products array through two methods, add product and get products. So it's how we can use also closures in our real projects, and for example add different products from cart or etc. to our clients, for example, and use it in a backend or a frontend code. Okay, today I showed you closure technique with examples on JavaScript. And as we can see, we can use closures for our data privacy, for creating some util functions which will be based on a specific common function which will close one variable and then concatenate it with other past variables. And it's a real cool technique which you can use on your projects and to make your code more reusable and scalable. And also use encapsulation, so encapsulate some logic and don't allow access to some, for example, arrays or objects, and do this access only through specific functions and close this logic into other functions. So that's it. Please like, subscribe, stay tuned. Please write maybe some examples of closures in the comments. Subscribe to my Telegram channel, and bye.